Holla. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for stopping by, for liking the video, subscribing, and commenting on all the juicy gossip in which is about to explode here for this TEW 2016 playthrough. I'm starting to try to run some names through my head. Any suggestions would be welcome, without a doubt. But your eyes don't deceive you. It's Halloween Havoc for the WWF. If you're like me and have been waiting for this, well, the wait is over, at least for this fantasy booking fulfillment. And hopefully the card lives up to the moniker and keeps you just as excited than the namesake. Obviously, you can get a good idea as to what is going to happen, but it's going to be Halloween Havoc for sure. And by the end of this, I think that you will know exactly what I am talking about. So let's jump into this one head first, because we got a title match on the pre-show as AJ Kong goes up against Jumbo Hori 62. Kong is still supreme in the women's division. We had Bull Nakano's run, which was absolutely dominant. Now AJ Kong is proving herself to be quite the handful, no pun intended, because she wins this bout with a handful of tights. It's about time we got some heat on AJ Kong, and now we're starting to build a little bit. You know, I think the story is going to be a slow burn, and hopefully it takes off. But until then, we're going to have to just keep feeding the beast, King Kong herself. And then we have a battle royale. It is a pinfall battle royale. And what they are calling the Halloween Havoc Battle Royale. It was on the pre-show. Good wrestling, decent reaction. This one is for a chance at the U.S. title as soon as Sting gets back from injury, and we will go into that a bit deeper soon enough. But before we get to that, we have to go over our winner, who is Adrian Adonis, coming off of injury, 15:35. The final four was Magnum, Bam Bam, and Fat 2, a new member of the roster. Magnum was the final elim. Bam Bam got the most eliminations in an all-round great match. We got the Barbarian, we got Scott Hall, we got P.S. Hayes, Magnum, Fat 2, Cactus, Brian Pillman, Brad Rengans, Bam Bam, and Adonis, all on the pre-show. Pretty much a good way to use all those guys, and they could all believably be in a U.S. title bout, especially with Sting. Sting could put on a great match with any one of those people, but I think an Adonis-Sting match would be fantastic. But before we get to that, we got a promo to start the show on the main card as DiBiase kind of calls out Stan Hansen, and Misawa cuts a promo back on him. For those of you who have been viewing, Stan Hansen was a long-term member of $1 Million Inc., but they have been really getting a face change, so to speak. And maybe you could even say liposuction, in that they have been cutting the fat. They kicked out Vader to start it off, and then on the last pay-per-view, they kicked out Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody, and now Stan Hansen is out for revenge, so to speak. He wants to get a piece of Ted DiBiase, and he has Misawa as one partner, but DiBiase has Taker and IRS, so it's either going to be a handicap match or Misawa has a mystery partner, and we will find out soon enough. But before we get to that, we have Bret the Hitman Hart going up against his brother Owen Hart in a good match, 82 in the opening bout of the night. No complaints whatsoever, and hopefully this boosts Owen's stock without a doubt. But essentially the crux, and also I guess I forgot to mention the big point of this match. It was about that had good wrestling, decent reaction from the crowd. Owen Hart defeated Bret Hart, his big bro, via submission with the sharpshooter after a distraction from Sting. So here's the gist of this one, ladies and gents. Bret Hart and Sting went toe-to-toe for the NWA. Man, I'm getting tongue-tied today. The NWA US Championship on the last pay-per-view. Bret would lose that bout to Sting. And then on television, I mean, Bret was embarrassed, obviously. Not because he lost to Sting specifically, but just the fact that he lost. So he took that anger out on Sting by injuring him on television. Owen broke it up, and then the next week, Bret called Owen out. Owen, kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt, and didn't hold it against him so much. Bret calls him out. He's trying to play buddy-buddy, smacks him in the face, kind of a cheap shot slap, and then continues cutting a promo on why Owen's worthless and he was always the runt of the family. And then Owen just drills him, tackles him, starts putting the fisticuffs to face and boots to asses, so to speak. But that would lead to this match here where Owen gets the final laugh. The King of Hearts himself gets a big win here in the opening match of Halloween Havoc. And perhaps this could break the door wide open for Owen and make him a mainstay on the pay-per-view scene. Definitely keep an eye out for him. Maybe 89 is the year that he really takes off. Who knows? Also, forgot to mention, we got 68,000 in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. So that is exciting. Then we're on to, let's see. What is the gimmick change? We got Legend Killer is the gimmick. No doubt. Average. Okay. Maybe we'll have to tweak that. Bret is perhaps already nearing that legend status. He's definitely a tag team legend for sure. And maybe this is how Owen gets his moniker. Then we're on to the 3v3, another 82. It was a superb match, and Hansen's mystery partner was none other than the Warrior. And Hansen and Co. get the victory over DiBiase, Taker, and IRS in 13:44 when Misawa defeats IRS with the Tiger Driver. IRS was the weak link. Yep, but he is getting pulled up pretty substantially because of how good everyone else is on the card. So, growing pains, yes. Whether it'll be worth it, I don't know. I think long term, it will. I mean, it's never detrimental to have too many people over unless you don't have that much money. But right now we are really raking in the dough. Enough so to where I wasted $8 million on a arena and forgot to set languages for it. So maybe I will use it in the future. However, I can't do the usual format that I like to have. So maybe just one pay-per-view I'll do it, because I mean it would be achievable, but it would just kind of be a nuisance. Nonetheless, Stan Hansen gets a little bit of payback on the group that used him, so to speak. And let's go through the road agent report. Taker and Heyman have excellent chemistry. You got that right. Warrior 72, Misawa 92, Hansen 93. Man, we have a lot of people over, thanks to basically all the divisions being super hot. Tag division, IC title kind of contenders, and the WWF title contenders as well. But yes, Hansen 93, IRS 60, Taker 84. He's definitely getting some improvement, and DiBiase 94. That is killer. Let's go to the next segment. But before we get to that, let's change the gimmick. He had a poor gimmick, and hopefully it is great. Awesome. Finally, the Warrior has a great gimmick. He needed that for sure. Here we have Jake the Snake and Harley Race cutting promos on each other and kind of referencing their rocky past. Prior to WrestleMania 5, these two had a knockdown drag-out rivalry that was stupendous, to say the least. And Harley, then again, he continues to underestimate Jake, despite the fact that Jake had to teach him the hard way before to respect him, and now it seems like he's going to have to do it again, but this time it is for the IC title #1 contendership. So their rivalry has completely reignited, like they never missed a step. Tonight there is a lot on the line. Both of these competitors have proved they are willing to go through heaven and hell to get that IC title. Both are former holders, and both want to get back to the heights that is the Intercontinental Championship. But before we get to that, we have a tag triple threat between the Road Warriors, the Steiner Brothers, and the Brain Busters. On the last pay-per-view, we had the British Bulldogs win #1 contendership. Obviously, the titles were not put on the line here on this pay-per-view, in due part to the fact that Bruiser and Hansen kind of had their individual endeavors. So, we are adding a third team to the mix. We're going to continue the kind of multi-team matchups. Whoever wins this will be inserted into that tag team championship bout. And in a superb wrestling bout with good heat, the Road Warriors defeat the Steiner Brothers and the Brain Busters. Again, it keeps doing this elimination style. That's okay. They defeated the Steiners first and then the Brain Busters. Here is the breakdown. Got the Road Warrior, Animal 82, Hawk 93, Scott Steiner with an 86, Rick with a 70, Tully 98, Arn 90. So we got the Road Warriors, the British Bulldogs, against the Cowboys from Hell down the line, and that will determine once and for all the tag team championships. Not once and for all, I don't know why, it's just a figure of speech, but nonetheless, Road Warriors are now in contention for the titles. The Brain Busters, who were the very hot champs before, now cannot catch a break. They're still hot as heck, but alas, it was not in the cards for them tonight. And then in the bout between Harley and Jake the Snake, it was an exceptional match. Harley defeats Jake, and it was a Falls Count Anywhere bout. Harley gets a victory with a pile driver following interference from Rick Rude. So Jake gets screwed out of #1 contention for the IC title that he has been chasing forever now, it seems like. He won it at WrestleMania 5. Then he lost it, and now he has been chasing and chasing and chasing. We've seen multiple title changes in between that time and now. He originally lost it to Adonis, and man, I mean, that feels like forever ago. Nonetheless, why is Rude involved? Obviously, Jake has a long past with both Harley Race and Rick Rude. So, we're going to have to stay tuned to find out what the motivations are with that. And without further ado, we got an angle between Dusty and Vader. This one is for the IC Championship. Vader won number one contention on the last pay-per-view. Dusty retained in the last pay-per-view. Two big hosses about to lock horns. What more could you want? This one has got instant classic written all over it. No doubt it will be a knockdown, drag-out, physical bout between these two. I'm excited. I hope you are too, and let's just jump right into it. But before we get to that, let's handle this. Complete the gimmick change. A lot of gimmick changes here, ladies and gents. Vader has a crusher gimmick, and it gets an above average rating. Okay. And into the bout for the IC title. It was a 96 bout between Vader and Rhodes. It was an exceptional bout. Dusty gets the win via his bionic elbow. This is defense number 2 for Dusty. Clearly Vader is one of our top heels, but Dusty is establishing himself in the WWF very quickly and very dominantly. Vader, he came up short, but if there's anyone who can bounce back strong, it's Vader without a doubt. Certainly it's been kind of a rocky road for him recently. Perhaps that played into him not being focused enough. Then you pair that with the fact he's going up against one of the toughest competitors and best world-renowned athletes in Dusty Rhodes, and man, you got yourself a tough task for the night. So Dusty makes it defense number 2, and this is we're bringing that IC title back into prominence without a doubt. Exceptional match. Can't ask for much more in Dusty and Vader. Maybe this is the beginning of a rivalry. Who knows? Nonetheless, Dusty gets a strong defense here at Halloween Havoc. Then we got an angle that is absolutely steaming hot right now. This is by far, in my opinion, the hottest rivalry in the Fed, bar none. The MegaPowers are cutting promos and the Horsemen are cutting promos, and it is on the fact that Savage had his wife powerbombed in front of his very eyes by the IV Horsemen. Flair gave the go-ahead, and the, I guess, mission you could say was carried out at the last pay-per-view. Savage was steaming. Hogan has been his brother in arms. The White Wedding got ruined by the IV Horsemen, and now, after claiming they had, that Flair said, look, I had nothing to do with it, then he gives a signal, and Miss Elizabeth is powerbombed. So now clearly his involvement is proven, and Liz has been injured and not seen on television since that time. We have no idea the extent to her injuries, and we know that Savage is absolutely going ballistic since that night. Hogan is also incensed, and Flair and Wyndham have been relatively reserved, merely only going after the character of Hogan and Savage, not so much Liz or their deeds. Nonetheless, they are here for a tag team bout, and I might have forgot to mention the cherry on top is that the winners, plural, will get title shots within the next month, okay? So, that means that we will be having two people get title shots at their convenience. So it's either going to be Hogan and Savage both getting title shots, or Flair and Wyndham. And let's jump into it. 97, another great bout. We're keeping this gravy train rolling right through the station. All four members are just absolutely killing it. An exceptional match. Flair and Wyndham defeat Hogan and Savage, when Flair defeats Savage by pinfall following interference from Mr. Perfect. He's back, ladies and gents, and many of you might have completely forgotten about him. He was in rehab, and he was out of commission since before WrestleMania 5. Well, here he is, and it's all very, very exciting stuff. And he's picking a fight with someone who is on the edge. So I don't know whether it was a good move. It could completely put Savage out of commission, or it could just make him come back harder. But let's go to the performances. Wyndham 94, great to see that. Flair 96, Savage 94, Hogan 95. Flair is the man on top of the totem pole, so to speak. And things are looking pretty bleak for the MegaPowers and Randy Savage especially. So we're going to have to stay tuned for the motivation of Hennig. We had two heels just kind of really stick it to two of our biggest faces in Jake the Snake and the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Why? I mean, that's why we watch, baby. That's what keeps us hooked, no doubt about that. And this storyline continues to get more and more complicated and has more twists and turns. So we're gonna have to see what the heck is going on with that. But all around, a great match, and Flair and Wyndham will both be getting title shots in the future. So we're gonna have to stay tuned for that. And then, without further ado, we got hype for the main event. This already crazy pay-per-view has come to a climax here. And we are unveiling the Hell in a Cell. Why, you might ask? Well, $1 Million Inc. has been all over Bruiser Brody, attacking him night in, night out. And finally, word came down from management saying that we are going to essentially create a cage with a roof so that these competitors can have their match without interference, keeping everyone out and all of the havoc inside. So this abomination, I mean, one of the most insidious creations in all of wrestling is about to be unveiled tonight. Steamboat, Bruiser, and here we go. A 98 bout, absolutely phenomenal. It says Steamboat was really off his game. Nonetheless, we got a 98. Sensational wrestling, fantastic heat. Steamboat defeats Bruiser Brody in 27 minutes, 55 seconds with a flying karate chop following interference by The Undertaker. So the reason for the stipulation, seemingly useless, fruitless. And let me set the scene for you, ladies and gentlemen. We're nearing the end of the bout. We're about 27 minutes in, and it has been an amazing, amazing bout. The lights go down. Lightning strikes. It cracks the front door, and the door falls off the hinges. Then we have Bruiser, who's standing tall as Steamboat seemingly looks defeated. Bruiser is in the driver's seat. This bout was essentially made for a man like King Kong himself, Bruiser Brody. He's a titan amongst men. And while Steamboat was giving him hell, Bruiser was born and raised in hell and was in the driver's seat, had the upper hand, and really it seemed like it was only a matter of time before Bruiser was going to pull this one out. But he saw the lightning, and he is just as confused as everyone else in attendance. So he looks at that front door knowing very well that his demise might be walking through that door in a short time. So he walks to the ropes. He wants to meet this entity, this force. But as he walks to the ropes, we see a hole in the mat form. Smoke pours out. A hand with a gray glove comes out. And the Undertaker rises from beneath the ring. As Bruiser turns to meet him, the grasp of Undertaker's hand around the throat of Bruiser Brody is felt, and he rises him well above the rope and chokeslams him. Then he picks him up, and last ride, boom. And he picks him up one more time and hits him with a tombstone pile driver. Then the Undertaker grabs Steamboat's hand and slowly drags it across the chest of Bruiser Brody. And then he goes to the door of the Hell in the Cell. The lights come up. The referee, who had gone outside of the ring, was watching on, has no idea what the heck is going on, just like everyone else in attendance. He sees that Steamboat has him covered, and he wants to get this match over with. He wants to get the heck out of here. I mean, this is like Earl Hebner after the or once the Montreal screw job took place. He wants to get the F out of here. He goes boom, 2, 3, over. Bell rings. Makes it defense number 3 for the NWA title, and makes it defense number 3 for the World Heavyweight title. And then we have Bruiser Brody get carried out by the Road Warriors and IRS as Undertaker leads the way. And that is Halloween Havoc. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed, and let's check out the pay-per-view rating. 97, I'll take it. It was a tremendous pay-per-view, no doubt. A lot of story, a lot of twists, a lot of turns, a lot of havoc, without a doubt. And our next pay-per-view will be Starrcade. So I hope to see each and every single one of you there. Hopefully I can outdo this one. I think that's a tough task because I really poured a lot of storyline into this one. And but I think we can accomplish it, hopefully. Without further ado, thank you all for joining. Thanks for the likes and subscribes. Also, last video I had asked who would be interested in seeing, kind of voting for a match type. We got a comment that said they would like an Iron Man match. Now, granted, this is going to be in January, but as you can see, things are progressing quite quickly. So January is essentially right around the corner for the game. So here are the options again for what could be the main event match. It could be a stretcher match, steel cell, Iron Man match, ladder match, or a mystery bout, which if you could either say mystery bout or 3 question marks, and that will be a vote for the mystery bout. So comment if you would like to see any of those 5 match types for what we're going to call Cyber Sunday. If we don't get a lot of support for this, that is perfectly fine. I will have Saturday night's main event for January instead of a Cyber Sunday. So if you would like to have some input on the video, on match types, on participants, so on and so forth, drop some comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I will catch you on the flippity floop.